Now we get to the Olympics. All right. So, it must be exciting. It must be full of nerves. What was it like when you got to the Olympic Village for the first time? Tell us a little bit about what this is.
Yeah, so this is basically like the blazer that you get. They would design it every year for that game, so every year it's different.
Why didn't you represent Sri Lanka in the Olympics in badminton?
You had to be a citizen, so it was like we had to get the citizenship, and I think at the time, or even now, they don't allow dual citizenships.
Powered by WinLads.
Hey guys, ever wonder what it's like to be a Sri Lankan Australian Olympian? Well, you don't have to guess anymore because we have the talented Sawan here today. Sawan, welcome to Under the Coconut Tree.
Thanks for having me.
No worries at all, man. I have so many questions to ask you because I've never actually met an Olympian and spoken to them this close and up front. Like, I can almost touch you. It's incredible. Let's start from the start though. Yeah. So maybe tell me a little bit about yourself, like what sport you're playing and when you started playing.
Yeah. I mean, I started a long time ago back in Sri Lanka.
Yep.
So both of my parents played as kids back in Sri Lanka. So I was still living back there.
Yep.
So around 5.
The same sport, which is
badminton.
Badminton, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So your parents both played like all their lives and then they kind of
yeah.
coerced you into playing as well, or were you like,
Yeah.
seems like fun.
I think a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. But yeah, we just started playing in the backyard in Sri Lanka. And then from then sort of started playing at 5 and got into the school team and then sort of went from there.
So you started when you were 5, which is pretty young. Was that kind of standard with badminton to get started?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a standard. It is pretty. It's more on the young side.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I guess in Sri Lanka you sort of do get into sports through school a little bit early.
Right.
So yeah, it just sort of happened that they got me into it, and then we tried out and got into the school team.
Yeah, I have so many questions. Like, why didn't you play cricket? Like, have you not seen the 1996 World Cup? Didn't you want to be that, Sana Jayasuriya or Aravinda De Silva hero? Like, what led you to being like, you know what? Forget cricket, stuff it. I don't want to play that, but I want to play badminton. Is it purely because your parents were good, I'm assuming, or they pushed you towards it, or did you actually find it?
I think the parents are fairly okay players. Like, I think they played like district level, not nationally. But yeah, there is a funny story around that. So
please enlighten me. I think we all want to know.
Yeah, I mean, I only found out this like last year. So I think apparently, like all kids do in Sri Lanka, especially because everyone's obsessed with cricket. You play during lunchtime.
Yep.
And apparently the school the school head coach had seen me
playing cricket.
Yeah, with my friends. And then because I'm a left-hander, being a left-hander sort of gives you a bit of an advantage because obviously there's left-handed, less
more
lefties.
unique.
Yeah. So you have a bit more creative shots and things like that. He had come to my parents' house to actually try to recruit me to the school team.
For the school cricket team?
Yeah.
And this is around when you were 5?
Yeah, around 5 or 6, around then. And then my parents had pretty much said straight up no to him.
Your parents just shut down this guy who saw potential for you to be potentially like an international cricketer as well.
I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
It's a big question mark. But I think they did have a fairly strong cricket program.
Yeah.
Because both of my parents are teachers, so I think education was also sort of like a key factor for them to make sure that I study while playing sports.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be Sri Lankan parents, right? I mean, education comes first, and then everything else comes after, right?
Exactly.
All right.
I think there was a bit of a notion that if you were in the cricket team, you study sort of got pushed back a bit, and then cricket was like sort of the number one thing, and then they were worried I would, my studies would sort of fall behind.
Yep.
So apparently they had said no. And I didn't know this until I think last year when I found out.
How did you find out? Did your parents tell you here's the thing, you were actually going to play cricket, but we were like, nah, Sawan, we can't do that because we don't want you to...
I think they were telling someone else, and then I happened to be in the room, not like they would actually tell me.
It doesn't surprise me. Typical Sri Lankan parents, you find out things like 20, 30 years later that you're like, that could have changed the course of my life so differently. That's what it is now, right?
Yeah, potentially. Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a good thing. I mean, it all happened quite well for you. So you played in Sri Lanka when you were about 5, and then you moved to Melbourne, or did you move somewhere else?
Yeah. So I played nationally in Sri Lanka.
Right.
So I was the under 10 national champion and under 11. So
wow.
I was already sort of like a
legend. Yeah. I mean, you have to be, so nice about it.
I would say elite.
Yeah, elite. I would say elite. Oh, sorry. Correction, guys. Not legend. He's elite. Okay. All right. So you're under 10, under 11 champion while you're in Sri Lanka, which means you're the best badminton player
For that age group.
Yeah, for boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Then we migrated here because we have family in Melbourne.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And was that the primary reason you migrated here because of family and education?
Yeah,
or?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, pretty
Which is very, I guess, traditional as well,
Yeah,
right? This
yeah.
way, safe option, you can go to uni, worst case scenario. But
Exactly.
you didn't kind of, follow that normal route that most Sri Lankans or Asians actually go through. You were
Yeah.
like, you know what? I want to pursue badminton, and obviously you're very good at it.
Yeah.
But it gets harder when you're in Australia because I feel like it's probably more competitive in Australia. Like, how did it go from being an under 10, Sri Lankan champion, and then assimilating into the cultural side of it with, I guess, bigger,
Yeah.
stronger kids,
Yeah.
and then the different sports that you had at your fingertips here as well.
I guess it was a bit more straightforward for me because we arrived and then I was pretty much put into a club in Southeast Melbourne, like to train with. So it was sort of like very continuous for me. I didn't really have a break
Oh, right.
or like time to sort of like look at what the other sports are here or anything. It was just like arrive and then like getting back into sort of training.
So was that kind of like tunnel vision? You're like, badminton's all I know, and this is what I'm good at. I'm going to keep going.
Pretty much.
Were you curious to try other sports?
Not really, because I was already playing at a high level. I think
Yeah,
it was just
okay.
more like you wanted to continue on that path.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And how did that go from playing at a local club like you were to
Yeah.
getting selected to play for Australia?
Yeah.
What's that journey like? Because people like myself that are lay people and for the viewers at home, we don't have any idea what it is to be a professional athlete.
Yeah.
So how did
yeah.
that go? And
It's,
tell us
it's a
about
bit
that
of a
story.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like normally what happens is like, you play club level,
Mm-hmm.
like any sport. And as you play, enter into tournaments and you might start winning like an open tournament, then you might win something state level
Yeah.
and then national. So like I sort of did that. I think I won under 13 nationals
Yeah.
when I was 12 and then under 15s. And then like my level sort of started pulling a bit away from the other kids in the age group. So
As in, you got a little bit better?
yeah, I think
Yeah,
the rate that I was improving was a little bit higher. So then
Yeah.
I think when I was 16, I won like the Australian Junior International. So like that encompasses like anyone under 18 years old.
So at 16, you were essentially the best player under 18.
Yeah, pretty much in Australia,
In
New
Australia, yeah.
Zealand, and a few other countries in the surrounding
Oh, so it's
area.
kind of like Oceania. It's kind of not just Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, because it was an international tournament, so you had players
Right.
coming internationally, and it was mostly represented from players in the Oceanic region.
Okay.
So I won that when I was 16.
And is that
then-
kind of, you're like, I'm pretty good at what I do? Is that the point where you're kind of like, because you need a bit of arrogance, right? I feel
yeah, it comes with. I think if you want to be good at it, there is a bit, at least on court,
Yeah.
you have to be, because it's okay. It goes in hand with being confident. and
Yeah, no,
a bit of
I think
arrogance.
arrogance is to a certain level, like you're saying on court, is almost imperative to be a successful athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael Jordan's one of my favorite athletes of all time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made him so good because he was so
Yeah.
arrogant and belief in himself, right?
Yeah.
So to be able to do it at 16, that's now 11 years that you've been playing badminton and be one of the best, or the best under 18 in that comp in
Yeah.
the Oceania range
Yeah.
or area.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, what? Maybe Olympics then, or not just yet? Like
Nah, not really.
Okay.
I think that's still sort of
far away.
Yeah, far away. You don't,
Okay.
because you're still a junior player. I think going into seniors and going to Olympics is like another whole sort of step.
Okay, so it's a big divide.
It's
between-
a big
Okay,
big
cool.
gap. Yeah, I think, but having won that, I think the national coaches are already there, sort of scouting anyway. So they usually do that as a standard process. So
Yeah.
they saw that, and then I was invited into the senior national team just to spar like once a week with the older players.
Sorry, you said to spar.
Yeah, which is like playing matches.
Oh, okay, cool. Because
Yeah.
when I hear spar, I'm thinking fighting. Because
Yeah.
I did a bit of fighting when I was younger. So you're
Yeah.
not beating each other with badminton sticks or
No.
anything, right? Okay, cool. Yeah. So badminton rackets, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So then you got picked into the national squad at 16, and you're training with like over 18s as well.
Yeah, just senior. So like could
Yeah.
be 30-year-olds, could be
Wow.
20 something, like anyone.
So
Essentially.
how did you find balancing school and academics, which is very important,
Yeah,
and then competing at such a high level with 30-year-olds? I guess they're double your age almost.
pretty much. Yeah.
So was it difficult to balance both those things?
Yeah. I mean, but I think it's difficult. But if you had grown up doing it since you were a child, it's not really anything. Like it's sort of what you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard if you put a kid who hasn't done it into that situation.
Yeah.
But for me, I think I sort of like just fit it right into it, and it was just sort of part of my schedule. Like go to school
It was just
and then train.
BAU, business as usual
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Sawan from when he was 5.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I guess the next step is you were playing with the adults now, or the over 18s. At what point did you realize, you know what, as a senior, I'm pretty bloody good. And were you beating people quite consistently, or like at what point you were like, you know what? I think I've got a real shot at being really good in the world at this, as opposed to just in Australia.
Yeah, I think either 18 or 19, we came runner-up at like the Oceania Open tournament, which is like, you know, anyone can play all of the entire continent, right? So we came runner-up in that.
Yeah. When you said
so it was men's doubles.
Men's doubles, okay. Cool.
Yeah, because like once you sort of enter into the senior circuit, you have to choose the discipline. Whereas in juniors, people predominantly play all three. So I played all three, which is singles, doubles, and mixed doubles.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, so I played all three, and I was winning mostly all three all the time.
Is that because you were really good in the juniors, or you had good partners as well?
A bit of both. It goes both ways.
So they're partnering you up with someone that's kind of at your level.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but because I was doing well in all three, you sort of get asked, like, you know, what do you prefer, and also what the coaches want you to prefer, like, to sort of go down as well. And I think my style of play and my physical, like ability sort of lined up to being like a better doubles player.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
This might seem like a very silly question, but is doubles easier because it's the same size court, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So does it make it easier, or is it more confusing because there's another person who might take the shot and you're not sure how to place yourselves?
I think it's more like the comparison's probably more like a sprinter versus a marathon runner. Like, you know, like the speed of the play is very different. Doubles is might be less running because there's another person on court.
Yeah.
But it's a lot faster. It's a lot more explosive, and physicality is really, really important. Whereas singles is a little bit more like, you know, longer rallies. You gotta be a bit more of a runner. You know, endurance is really high, like key for that. So like I was more like a power player, had more explosiveness, strength.
So you're more of the sprinter in that comparison.
Scenario.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Did you prefer being the sprinter, or did you prefer playing singles?
Yeah, and I didn't really have a preference.
Right. You were just good at everything. Yeah, that's what it seems like. Yeah.
But I think like, you know, hindsight, if I did enter into the senior circuit into singles, it would have been a bit of a, I don't know, it would have been a struggle to sort of like try to fit into that, because other players would have been like more of that body type. So it's like you have to be able to keep up with them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, don't talk yourself down. I think it's pretty amazing what you did. Yeah. So, and then you end up going to the Olympics. Yeah. So did you have to win a certain set of competitions, or did you have to collect a bunch of points or trophies? Like, how does it work to be selected to actually get into the Olympic team?
Yeah. I mean, not to go into too much detail, I guess, from a high level.
High level, yes.
Yeah. High level. I guess like you basically have to call it, because there's only 16 spots in the draw.
And that's for Olympics. Like all three disciplines?
Oh no, just per discipline. So for doubles, like which I qualified for men's doubles, there's 16 spots.
Yep.
So 16 spots across anyone in the world. So you have to be basically like, you know,
pretty bloody
one
good.
Of the 16 pairs that's good enough to qualify.
Right. Okay.
So then you spend that 1 year leading up to the Olympics basically traveling tournaments, trying to gather world ranking points, which will allow you to be, you know, in that top 16 or whatever.
Yeah.
So you can get selected. Yeah.
When you mean top 16, do you mean not just in Australia, but you mean in the world?
Yeah.
And if you rank in the top 16 in the world, then you can represent Australia? Is that how it works?
Yeah, like almost. So like they have, because it's Olympics and representation is really key, right? You know, like the 5 rings stand for the 5 continents. Yeah. So, you know, if one country is dominant, like say in the top 10 they have 5 players in there, they might go, okay, like, you know, we want everyone to represent. So they might have a rule like only 2 players in the top 10 can represent from one country, and then the others will lose that spot.
Yeah, gotcha.
So to be top 16, I think it goes down to like maybe top 35 in the world or 32.
I see what you're saying. Just keep it even and fair.
Yeah, so I think we were like 30 at that time in the world, and then we qualified,
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And how did the news get broken to you when you found out you were going to be representing Australia in the Olympics?
It's not, I mean, I think people think it's going to be like a surprise, but it's not, because it's sort of...
You kind of knew.
You kind of know your ranking, so you know where you sit.
So were you just like, oh, I'm in the Olympic team? Yeah, it's pretty obvious. I knew it was going to happen. Is that what it was? Was it a really calm reaction? Or
I can't remember the reaction, but it was close, actually. Like a year of competing, it came down to us, whether we win this one final tournament. If we win, we go. If we don't win that tournament, we don't go. So
that's pretty intense.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. Yeah.
Was it more nervous?
Yeah. Like, I mean, you sort of try to control your nerves.
What was the chat like with your doubles partner before you started that final comp where you're like, it's like, bro, if we win this, we're going to the Olympics. If we don't, well, we got to try again next time. That's kind of
Yeah,
it's kind of
pretty
scary
much.
and daunting, man.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
was it? How did
it,
you
it
each
was,
other
it was
up?
the Oceania Championship.
Okay.
So I think we've already won that 4 times running. So we knew like it was just
You just knew you guys were
rock
awesome,
up
yeah.
and do what you do best.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
And then things will sort of
Work
work
out.
itself. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And have you ever had a point in any of these comps, and we'll get to the Olympics in a moment, where you've been really frustrated, or there's been a call that's gone against you, which is an absolute bullshit call? And how do you react in a situation like that at such an elite level?
In matches,
In matches, yeah.
in matches, I mean, you have to try to keep your composure, you know, because you got to live within a point. You play the point, whether it goes your way or not. You learn to sort of put that behind you,
Yeah.
and then move on to the next point. So you live point by point.
Point by point.
Uh,
But how do you stay so composed? 'Cause it's a very emotional thing
It takes
too, right?
time. I mean,
Yeah.
I've worked with sports psychs and stuff to like
Yeah.
be able to like get into a point where you know you mentally can focus for like the hour or hour and a half, where you know you're focused, but then you sort of you don't go past that peak into like too far into that spectrum where you can't control. Like it's sort of
Yeah.
staying right in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes time. Like,
It
you gotta
must,
practice.
yeah. And I guess the training, tell me what a typical week would look like for you, say leading up. You're in the Olympic team now and you're
Sure.
preparing to go to the Olympics. What's a typical week look like for you? Do you
Yeah.
have training on certain days? And I kind of want to hear about training as well as managing that with studies and probably
Yeah.
diet as well is probably
Yeah.
key.
Yeah,
And
for
does
sure.
the Australian, like AIS, do they support you in these things?
Yeah. I mean, AIS is like the whole entire sort of encompassing
Okay.
organization. So then under them they have like VIS, which is the Victorian Institute of Sport.
Okay.
So they're in Albert Park. So they would support us with strength and conditioning coaches, physios, doctors, and stuff.
Yeah.
Which you need sort of off-court training.
Yeah.
Which is how they classify it, and then on-court training is like with the national team, you're on court.
Yeah.
So what we did was that 6 days a week, you have about 2 sessions a day. Some days you have 3.
Wait, 6 sessions a week.
6
sessions-
days, 6 days a week,
Yeah.
and then you might have double sessions on some days.
Right.
Sometimes there will be single session. Sometimes it might be triple sessions if it's like
Wow.
if it's really close to the games.
And how long is each session roughly?
Probably about 2 hours minimum, 2 through 3
So
hours.
if you're doing like
you're clocking about 25 hours. Yeah,
a week, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a lot. That's almost like a
job.
job, yeah.
Yeah.
And so you were still working at this time or studying? Like,
I
how did
was
you...
part time at uni. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then in terms of diet, were you eating a lot of rice and curry and pork sambal and sandwich? Like, tell us a little bit about that, because I feel like maybe the Sri Lankan cricket team are eating that, and that's probably why they're struggling. But but how about you? How did you kind of go?
No,
down that
I think I sort of had to like cut down on that a lot.
Really?
Couple
Because
years
I
later.
have a few questions to ask you about your diet, but we'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah. In terms of curries, like rice and curry
Yeah.
was like very minimal.
Right.
But yeah, everything was tracked. We had nutritionists work with us,
Right.
make sure like they would take our like body fat levels every 2-3 months to make sure you're not getting heavier
Fat.
than you need to.
I mean,
Yeah, pretty much.
what was your lowest body fat percentage, just out of curiosity?
I can't remember because we
Yeah.
had different ways. They do DEXA scans or they might do the calipers.
pinching,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it was like specific to each sort of test.
Right. What would you fluctuate between? Like, any idea?
I can't remember.
Because
Maybe
people
I-
must be curious at home watching,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they'll be
yeah.
like, we're running on 60, 70%, but then what are elite
I think
athletes
maybe
running?
like 10, 11, 12, something like
Yeah,
that.
right.
It wasn't because you don't want to be when you're playing such a endurance sport, like your levels can't drop too much because you do
You need
you need those carbs in your body to be able to store that so you can burn it.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome.
yeah.
And did they kind of help you prepare the meals, or do you kind of have to learn yourself?
They can help. The
Yeah.
nutritionists can help, but like they'll sort of work around what you already eat, try to teach you how to like eat better and then fit within the calories.
Maybe not as much chicken curry today and
Yeah.
less kitty butt. Like, is that
Yeah.
what it is? Or...
Yeah, that's what I said because it was like because Sri Lankan food in general is more calorie dense. I think
Yeah.
because the ingredients, so that's why I had to sort of cut down that on a lot
Yeah.
and eat more, I guess
Broccoli.
westernized food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And now we get to the Olympics. All
Yeah.
right. So, it must be exciting. It must be full of nerves. What was it like when you got to the Olympic Village for the first time?
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy place, right? I think it's
Yeah.
a very unique place where all the top athletes in the entire world sort of come together.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't get that environment anywhere else.
It seems wild.
Yeah, and there's lots of security. You have to go through security checks, get the passes in, and all that stuff just to enter because the village is only for athletes and coaches.
Yeah.
No media, no outsiders, no one can enter.
Right. So
There
they have
is
to
a-
restrict.
It's restricted. There's like an in between zone. I forget the name, but basically like media can meet you there,
Yeah, okay.
but they can't actually enter the village. So it's like it's very very exclusive. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I guess when you're in the village, did you see anyone that's super famous, and who was it, and who were your idols as well to follow up?
Yeah, I mean, there's a Chinese weightlifter who's like considered one of the all-time greatest. I saw him at the gym, so that was like a surreal moment.
Did you match him in the weightlifting, or probably not? No. That was pretty cool. Did you go talk to him?
Yeah, I took a photo. Yeah, I mean, his English wasn't very good, so it was more like just say hi,
Hi,
and
bye,
take a
yeah.
photo. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Anybody else?
NBA players, obviously, a lot of NBA players.
Well, you
are
can't
there.
miss them. They're like trees walking around.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Like,
Did you talk to them?
some of the Australian, like, I forget the name, Matthew Dellavedova.
Oh, Dellavedova, yeah.
So Delhi, because he was playing in the team.
I heard he's really nice.
He's very
Yeah.
friendly, and they were sharing the same floor as us, so they were almost next door.
Awesome.
Bogart was the center.
Oh, he's he actually grew up in Melbourne. I think he's from
Okay.
Endeavour Hills, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, and then I think the US team that year actually stayed at a cruise ship because they have money, and also they don't want to. They couldn't fit in the beds as well, which is fair enough.
I mean, yeah. We'll touch on that another day, I think. But all right,
Yeah.
cool. So you're in the village. It's pretty intense. What was your favorite part about the whole Olympic experience itself? Like from getting to the Olympics and then when you were on the flight home, what was the part where you're like, man, that's pretty cool. It's like a money can't buy experience.
I think probably the most unique one is like when you walk out from the underground sort of tunnels into the the opening ceremony, which is like what everyone watches, right? The whole world tunes in to watch that. So when your country gets announced and everyone walks out and there's tens of thousands of people screaming your name, like that's to be like on that end and not watching from home, it's
surreal
yeah.
and super cool.
Yeah.
And speaking of Olympic ceremony, you actually brought something with you today,
Yeah.
which I'm excited to see.
Yeah.
Do you want to grab it? And I'll
Yeah,
kind
sure.
of, I don't know if I'm allowed to touch it, but it seems super cool.
Yeah, I don't know if the camera can see it, but
The camera's right here, so that's
Yeah.
all. So tell us a little bit about what this is.
yeah, so this is basically like the blazer that you get. They'll design it every year for that game, so every
Yeah.
year it's different.
Yeah, right.
So this is the one from 2016. So this one's pretty special because like I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if someone knows, but basically I think these are names of all the medalists, like gold medalists from the previous games.
Wow.
You'll have like I don't know if you can see 1924 Paris, France.
Also, like all ex-Australian Olympians that have won a medal.
Yeah, exactly. So the whole coat is like sort of covered with that. So I think that's quite cool.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, having that, and yeah, you get to wear that, and
Yeah.
once you have gone, you become part of the Australian Olympic Association, and they have a gala every year. So like you
You
can
can
wear
go-
your blazer, and then the other people wear their blazer from that year. So it's like a bit of a.
That's really cool because I didn't even know
Yeah.
that was a thing.
Yeah.
And have you been to a couple of these galas?
I haven't been yet, but future I'm sure I'll get my.
Man,
chance
you gotta
to
go. Can you take a +1? Because I would love to come. I know you got a wife and everything, but can I come? Like I feel like
Yeah,
that'd be
why
way
not?
more fun.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, super cool.
Yeah.
All right, so now something funny that I read, and look, you're gonna have to like paint a picture here.
Yeah.
You're at the Olympic Village. You saw some kind of food eating competition by this famous YouTuber, right? And he's smashed down some ridiculous amount of McDonald's or Macca's for the Aussies at home, right? Tell us a little bit about what happened,
Yeah.
and what you did, and
Yeah.
tell me what the contents was as well.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't done because I saw a YouTuber. It was
Okay.
actually sort of other way around, I guess.
Oh, cool.
So it wasn't even.
Please correct me. Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really planned. So I mean, I had my last match. We played against I think the current world number 7. So something. So we had a very tough draw.
Yep.
And it was a really close match, and they did a questionable serve, and it was 19-all. It was a very questionable serve. We ended up losing the match.
Questionable serve. He stepped over the line, or what?
Or just technically speaking, like it was like on a very grey area, and
What
wasn't
country was it?
Taiwanese, if I remember correctly.
So for the Taiwanese guy that cheated in that match, Sawan deserved to win that match. I just want everybody to know that. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so I think that was really close, and they were world number 7 or something. We were 30, so it was a big deal if you could actually beat them, especially at the Olympics. So afterwards we were super heated. I wasn't very happy. So
I gotta watch that video. I'll see what I can find and put it there. The BTS.
it's all
of this.
behind the scenes.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, so I think once that happened, we had our debrief, and I think one of the coaches basically said, let's just go back to our apartment, because all the countries have like either their entire apartment tower for the country, if it's a big enough country, or you have your rooms. So we went back to our apartments, and on that, I don't know if you remember, I said before, there's a gray zone between the village and the media,
Yeah.
which there's actually a McDonald's there and some other shops.
So they have a McDonald's right next to the Olympic Village.
Yeah, which is a bit ironic.
Ironic, right? Okay, anyway, go on.
So McDonald's has always been sponsoring Olympics for a long time. I think 40-something years. They stopped.
right.
I think the last one was Tokyo Olympics, and they've cut the deal.
I wonder why. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So it's free for athletes. You can walk in and ask for whatever you want. They give it to you.
Wait,
So
you said McDonald's is free?
yeah.
I knew my parents... Why did they make me go university, man? I should have been a professional athlete and gone to the Olympics just for the free McDonald's.
Yeah.
So what happened? You went to Macca's?
Yeah. No, we went to Macca's, and because I was heated and I was still in a very sort of...
You're pissed off.
I'm pissed off, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah, I went in there, and like I said before, because the diet leading up to the games, I think 6 to 8 months was really, really, like, at least for myself, like, very, very strict.
Mm-hmm.
I would go out with friends and just eat, like, a protein bar while they would have dinner sort of thing.
Yes, I've heard of these stories.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I've never sort of, like, strayed off.
Yeah.
So I took the chance and just kept ordering and ordering, like, just a ginormous amount of food.
Yeah, yeah.
And took it back to the apartment. And
Okay.
we laid it down because there was a lot of food.
Just for you, right?
Yeah, just for myself.
All right.
I think there was like
Yeah, tell us what
one
you got.
burger for my coach that he wanted, but the rest was mine. I think I forget, but it was like 10,000 calories around that much.
10,000 calories.
Yeah.
That must have been like, what, 6 burgers, nuggets, fries, drinks.
Brownies, yeah, a whole
Brownies, did you say?
They have brownies there, yeah.
Okay, so you smashed 10,000 calories of Macca's in one sitting, and then something happened afterwards. It
Yeah,
went
I
viral?
mean, we laid it down.
Yeah.
And then I sat in front of him. My coach was like, "Let's take a photo just for fun."
Yeah.
So I took a photo of it.
Yeah.
And and then I ate the food and then talked to my family and friends and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And then I posted the photo thinking it was just funny. My friends might find it funny.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, before the Olympics, we were briefed by, like, our chef de mission, which is, like, the leader of the games for each country.
Yeah.
Like, from an administrative point of view. She said, like, make sure that you be careful with media because they're always watching you no matter who you are.
Yeah, okay.
Which I didn't really take it that seriously. It's my first games.
Yeah.
And
Also, you're finished now.
Yeah, and I'm finished.
Yeah.
So it's, And then I woke up the next morning and then my coach is like, you might want to check your phone.
Yeah.
And then check your phone and it was just like, it's blowing up. There's like all these people commenting and apparently like media found the photo and then
Shared it.
everyone started sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, so you pretty much went viral overnight because of the amount of gorging yourself in 10,000 calories worth of
Yeah,
McDonald's.
so I think that turned into like a challenge. So I think one of the competitive eaters, like Matt Stoney, he's like a really well-known competitive eater.
Right.
So he made a challenge out of it. Then he made a video, and then other competitive eaters made videos out of it. And
So you set the trend by accident
Yeah.
when you just wanted to pig out after like a successful,
Yeah.
training, end of training, end of Olympics.
yeah.
And that went viral and a professional eater picked it up and...
Yeah, he messaged me on Twitter and he said, "Is it okay if I like make a challenge out of it?" And I said, "Yes, oh, go ahead." And
Yeah.
then,
That's nice of him to message.
yeah.
And did he have to eat in a certain amount of time or how did that work?
I think he timed it. I mean, if it was for him, it was really
Nothing,
easy.
yeah.
Yeah, it was nothing.
How long did it take you to eat that actually?
Probably an hour and a half.
That's a lot of Maccas.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I guess to finish off, I'll have a couple questions and,
Yeah.
and one question that I want you to answer. Now, I mean, first of all, why didn't you represent Sri Lanka in the Olympics in badminton? That's my first question.
Yeah.
And the second question is, if you wanted to give some advice to someone that's kind of in your shoes a few years or a couple of decades ago, for example, and they really want to push down the route of being a professional athlete and getting to the very top, which you've done successfully, what would
Yeah.
your advice be?
Yeah,
Sri
I
Lanka
guess
first.
that's the first question.
Sri Lanka first.
Yeah, I guess when I think I had to represent Australia at World Juniors or something really early on, and you had to be a citizen. So it was like we had to get the citizenship, and I think at the time or even now they don't allow dual citizenships.
Okay, cool.
So once you go down that route, then you
It's
sort
no
of
turning
committed, right?
Look, it was a
That's what
tongue-in-cheek
is.
question, but like, thank you
Yeah.
for answering and being serious about it. But more importantly, the second half, what advice would you have?
I guess you have to start small. It's hard to get to that level straight away. So it takes time. I would say like consistency, and you got to put in the work every day because it takes time. You got to sort of chip away. It's like it takes inches over time.
Yeah, and you were saying since you were 5 and up to 6 sessions in a week, or 6 days in a week, and 2-3 sessions a day, which is about 25 hours a week.
Yeah.
Just training alone.
Yeah.
And people say they don't have time to do things, right? And you hear about these kinds of stories, and you're like, you do have time. It's just a matter of priorities.
Yeah. Pretty
So
much.
little bit by little bit.
Yeah.
And second bit of advice.
I mean, you fail like a lot of times. Like I've lost a lot of matches. I think you fail, but you got to learn from them and then try to like implement that. And that's where the differences are, because a lot of people give up. Once you give up, you just stop, right? So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, Sawan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man. I've learned so much about it, and I can't wait to talk to you off screen as well, because I have so many questions to ask you.
Yeah.
But thanks so much for listening, everyone out there. Keep watching our videos under the coconut tree. We're going to have fantastic people coming on. Like and subscribe, and you'll hear more from us very, very soon. Thanks, guys.
Powered by WinLads.